video, I want to tell you about the protocol row representable. And you're going to see that even though you might have never used it explicitly, there is a good chance that your codebase already benefits from it. And to understand how this protocol works, I'm going to paste in some code. So I've just pasted an enum, and as you can see, this enum is a bit special because it is backed by a string, which means that for every case on the enum, for instance, the case 1, I can take this case and I can access what Swift calls a row value. And this row value, it contains by default the name of the case, but contained in a string. So here it would be a string containing 1. Now this mechanism isn't limited to strings. As you can see, we can also make enums that are backed by ints, just like here. And once again, if I take any case from this enum, for instance 1000, I can once again access a row value, this time of type int, and here it would contain the int that represents the number 1000. And the fact that it is called a row value kind of lets us think that it is indeed linked to the protocol row representable, and basically these protocols, it allows us to store an underlying value inside a Swift type. This way we can benefit from higher level API like Swift enums, but when needed we can still access the row value. And to understand how it would work if we had to explicitly conform to this protocol, we are going to implement a type that uses this kind of low level value under the hood, and it's a type to implement a localized key. So in Swift, localized keys, they are raw strings that we can then use in order to get a localized string that we can display on the user interface. So here I'm going to implement a struct called localized key, and as you can see, I make it conform to row representable. And now inside, in order to conform to the protocol, I need to implement a property called the row value, so the underlying value. Now I need to specify a concrete type for this row value. So here in my case is going to be a string, and just with this I have conformed to the protocol row representable. Now we could also have the extra step of adding a failable initializer. So this could be useful, for instance, if we needed to implement some kind of data validation. Here it's not the case, so we are not going to implement this initializer. This way we won't have to deal with the potential nil values. And to complete the implementation of my type localized key, I'm going to add this convenience complete property, which is going to return the localized string using the row value and the function ns localized string. And now we might be thinking, well, what's the interest of implementing this type this way when we could actually use an enum? Well, the difference is that in an enum you have to provide all the possible cases in a single place, and it makes sense because this is how Swift enums work. They need to be exhaustive because then the compiler can infer a lot of tail safety from this exhaustiveness. But for something like a localized key, we don't actually need this exhaustiveness because there's a good chance that we are never going to switch over all the possible localized key in our app. Instead, we want to have the type safety of having a dedicated type like localized key, and we want the ability to access the row value when needed. And so what's super nice when we use a struct and not an enum is that we are able to define our possible values in extensions. So for instance, here you can see a first extension that contains all the localized key that makes sense for a first screen, and then we could have also a second extension like the following one that would contain all the localized key that makes sense for another screen. And this way we would be able to have, we could say, one extension per feature, and it would make much more sense than having one big enormous file that would contain all our localized keys. Now we can access these values just like we would access the cases of an enum. For instance, here you can see that I am accessing the key second screen title, and I am using the localized string computed property on it. But since the type localized key also conforms to the protocol row representable, well, if needed, we are still able to use the underlying row value, which could be useful in some situations. So that's all for this video about the protocol row representable. As you've seen, even though we don't usually need to explicitly conform to this protocol, there are still some use cases where it can be useful, and so knowing about it can enable us to make our code just a little bit nicer when it makes sense. Now remember, if you have enjoyed the video, you can like, comment, share and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.